There's some cheap plays here. Obviously, we have one of the hottest players in fantasy in this game. But we also have the two teams that run the ball at the highest rate in the NFL, which is wild to think of like a game. Think about it. You just talked about the game total being as high as it is, and it's with two teams that run the football more than any teams in the NFL.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like typically those two things do not go together as at all. But the Bears have turned like a big play machine. Like, I mean, they have 29 or more points in their past 4 games. They now lead the NFL. They have 7 offensive plays at 50 or more yards on the season. That's number 1 in the NFL. They're getting like these huge plays. They finally have swerved into like Justin Fields in the designed run. Remember, through weeks 1 through 6, Justin Fields had just 20 designed rushing attempts. He has 35 designed runs over the past 4 games, 3 touchdowns, and you're still getting the scramble ability. But they've just really swerved into using him as a designed runner. And he had the past 4 weeks, he has 77 rushing points for fantasy football.
That's like, wild, man.
That's an insane number, like for a quarterback. Like quarterbacks do not run for 150 yards per week. Even me as the Swami of Konami.
Yeah.
Like these are like bonkers numbers what Justin Fields is doing on the ground for a quarterback. And you're getting some passing equity now. Like the big thing with Justin Fields is he's averaging 12.5 passing points per game over his past 6 games. And he's at least 9.2 passing points in all of those games. So when you pair that with his rushing floor, getting 9 passing points is very huge. Like, you know, on their own, they're not that great. But
together,
yes, when you put them together, you're cooking with absolute gas. And you have a matchup here against the Falcons who offer, you know, passing equity, like for efficiency. Like they're 31st in pressure rate. They're 31st in completion rate allowed to opposing quarterbacks. They're 27th in yards allowed per pass attempt. They're 28th in passing points allowed per game. So that gives you more confidence in that passing floor when we already know the rushing floor has been there all year, even when the opening month when it was bad was there. So the question is, do you pay up now that we talked about some, he was priced up with Mahomes on FanDuel last week. DraftKings finally bumped up another $1,200 this week.
I mean, he's still below like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Like 7,600 isn't even that bad.
Yeah, it's true. On DraftKings, he might even still be underpriced for going up. Because I think what's he gone? He's gone from 53 to 65 to 76. I think that's exactly how it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still is going to be, I think, the most popular play of this slate on DraftKings. I think he's going to be the most popular quarterback on DraftKings for sure. FanDuel, maybe not, because, you know, he's the same price as Jalen Hurts, who you can just pivot off of too. So very interesting. But the great thing about Fields is you don't have to play anybody with him if you don't want to. You can if you want, but you don't have to play Darnell Mooney, who has a good matchup. You know, we might get AJ Terrell back, but Atlanta has been a team we've picked on the entire year for wide receivers. They've allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers in PPR formats. So if you do want to play Mooney, you have a good matchup. He also plays 50% of his snaps in the slot, and Atlanta has been way worse against slot receivers. So they're allowing 8.9 yards per target to opposing slot receivers, which is 23rd in the NFL. If you want to keep chasing the Cole Kmet touchdowns, Atlanta's only allowed 1 touchdown to a tight end, but they are allowing the most catches per game to tight ends. So if you keep wanting to play Cole Kmet, like he's available too, but you don't even have to play anybody with Fields. And then you have a direct pivot in this game off of Justin Fields and his potentially high ownership in David Montgomery now that Khalil Herbert's not going to play.
Do you think Montgomery's going to get steamed up, Reeves? Like, I'm still not sure. I could see him end up, like, by the end of the week being, like, a 25% guy.
I think he'll get steamed, but we've been here before with Dave Montgomery, and typically people just don't like to play him.
That's fair.
But you look, we can go back early in the year when David Montgomery missed time 2 games early in the season, basically missed 2 whole games because he left that Houston game on the first drive of the game. Khalil Herbert then had 70% of the backfield touches in that Houston game still, and then he had 72% of the backfield touches the following week against the Giants. Like Tristan Ebner is not really a threat to take over really a lot of equity here in this backfield. So, and his main attribute is as a pass catcher, and that's where they've been leaning into Dave Montgomery anyways in his role as being the passing down back. He's not catching any passes. But like the big thing is he's just running so many more pass routes that's giving him the snap edge. And then the matchup's great. Again, I mean, Atlanta, 15.4 rushing points per game allowed to opposing backfields. That's 26th in the NFL. So you do have some matchup here. So like he does make sense to be like a really strong tournament play. You don't have to jam him in cash. I think he does make sense to be a good cash game play. But when you talk about just taking away leverage from Justin Fields, this is what you have, right? If the touchdowns are David Montgomery rushing touchdowns, that's just an all-around win here in this game if you play him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I got to bring this up because it's still bothering me from last week. So Drake London on PrizePicks, I think like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I've taken the over on that. Last week it was 38.5. It's still 38.5. He gets 38 receiving yards. Would have had a 5 out of 5 on PrizePicks for like a cool like $4,500, and then he can't get me one more yard. Is this guy serious? Like, do I go back to him? Like, the projection still looks like it's low. So I mean, if you guys want to, I'm just gonna take it just because I feel like he owes me. If you guys want to tail me on the over 38.5, promo code Holka, get your free $100 bet. He owes me one, Reeves. Is he getting over 38 yards this week?
We hope, but you never know with Arthur Smith, man. That's all I can tell you.
Reeves doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Falcons receiving overs is a tough game to win.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially when you look at this matchup, because the one thing about the Bears is it's like their games have been super fun for fantasy because this defense that they're putting on the field is absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
They trade Robert Quinn, they trade Roquan Smith. They're playing a lot of young guys. On the road, they've been a disaster. Opponents have scored on 34% of their possessions, a touchdown on 34% of their possessions. That is the second highest rate in the league against the Bears. 61% of the touchdowns allowed by the Bears have been rushing touchdowns, the highest rate in the league. So yeah, I mean, it's one of these things. Like, is it going to be a game where Arthur Smith needs to throw the ball? Because we've seen this.
If you're on Reeves' side and you're watching this right now, I'll give you another one because I think the Sims agree with Reeves per usual. 65.7% like the under on passing yards for Mariota. And again, PrizePicks is a site that begs you to take unders. Normally these overs look pretty good, but the under looks pretty good with the data for the Marcus Mariota passing yards. So yeah, just be on Reeves, the sharp side. Usually I'm just going to keep, going through the pain with the Drake London overs, but it's a tough scene, man.
Yeah, Mariota, very cheap. I think he's a solid streamer in your season-long leagues. I don't think I can get there for him from a DFS perspective because I think Daniel Jones just looks like a better play than him at basically the same price. I mean, these past 2 weeks, like Mariota's like almost forcing their hand to go take a look at Desmond Ridder. 5.6, 6.2 yards per pass attempt the past 2 weeks. He's 31st in EPA per dropback the past 2 weeks, and he's dead last in expected completion rate. They're really trying to push this thing. Now, the matchup is phenomenal. That's why I say, like, if you want to stream him, by all means, take a shot at him. If you want to play him in a GPP, sure, go for it. This Bears defense we talked about, they're allowing 8.9 yards per pass attempt over the past 4 weeks. You get a little bit of rushing ability with Mariota, so I don't really have a problem with it. I would love to kind of sort out this backfield. I think that Cordell Patterson's touches last week were more indicative of him coming off of injury and then playing on Thursday, like immediately, than necessarily what we'll see going forward. He only played 24 snaps and had 6 touches. I guarantee you we're going to beat those numbers this week. They're very low bar to clear. In a great matchup. So he's pretty interesting, I think, to play. The Bears have allowed 18.1 rushing points per game to opposing running backs. That's 28th. They've also allowed 14 touchdowns to running backs, which we love. We love touchdowns. And even if there still is a split here where Cordell Patterson doesn't push 20-some touches, because I don't think that's probably going to happen either.
Reeves, he played 24 snaps the week before, too, and touched the ball 14 times.
Yeah.
Scored twice. So, like, he doesn't need a lot. I mean, in some ways, doesn't need a lot of touches, and he's not that expensive.
No. But yeah, I was going to say, I do believe that if there is like touchdown equity here, it's still his. Like if they're inside the 5, like those touches are still going to be his. So he might not push 20 touches, but I think he's going to have high value touches in a good matchup, as a home favorite, which makes him interesting. And I know nobody wants to hear this, but Kyle Pitts looks like a good play this week. I know we've been here before.
We're doing this again. Okay. Let's hear it.
So we've evolved at least this season. We've evolved from will the Falcons target Kyle Pitts to can they complete passes to Kyle Pitts? Because they're targeting him. I mean, the past 3 weeks, he's got 24 targets. And he had another 8 targets come his way last week, but just another 2 catches for 28 yards because out of all tight ends this season, they have 25 or more targets. Just 50.9% of Kyle Pitts' targets have been catchable. It's by far the lowest rate of all tight ends. The next highest is at 62%. But we do know the targets have been there. And the Bears, a 6% touchdown rate allowed to opposing tight ends. There's some matchup equity here. The Bears passing defense has been awful. So I think he's entertainable in stacks here. Like you don't need to go jam into cash games or maybe necessarily go like immensely overweight. But 4,400 for his opportunity on a slate with no Travis Kelce, and we don't know if we're going to have 100% Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still think it's a good play. You said highest game total on slate. It's indoors.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold my nose.
I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm just saying I'm getting tired of doing it, Reeves. It's just like it's so rough, and the targets are there. Like everything that matters should like be lining up here. It's frustrating, man.
I've been very selective on my Kyle Pitts rostership, but
that's fair.
I think that this is a spot where he looks like a good bring back.
Okay, that's all I have for this game so far. So let's make sure and tell the people that everything is free on sharpfootballanalysis.com this week, which seems like an amazing opportunity for you guys to check out the worksheet for free. Reeves is just slaving over this thing all week long, and then the people are just giving it away for free, Reeves. I don't understand that, but this is a good week for you guys to go check it out if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and build a DraftKings lineup. This is another one of those games that's probably hard to completely stack up just because we don't think that the passing volume on either side might be as crazy, but there's some pieces here, Reeves. So what do you want to do with this one?
Yeah, the question is, do we go Fields or no Fields? I think we'll build the Fields lineup because we did a David Montgomery one on the last one, which you can check out, who's great leverage. I don't think you want to do David Montgomery and Fields together. I don't think there's a path for both of those guys to pop for tournament perspective, but
agreed.
Maybe they're like, I don't think it's as like, I think you can play Saquon and Daniel Jones together because of Daniel Jones' salary and his rushing ability. But I think the Fields plus Montgomery at almost 14K is tough.
Yeah. Is there a guy that you'd want to pair Fields with, or are you fine just rolling him out naked and then having some bringbacks, you think?
I'm okay rolling him naked.
Okay, cool. Are we going Pitts on the other side? It sounds like you're on
Pitts.
Yeah,
I want to play both. Let's play Pitts and Patterson.
Okay. Let's do it.
Because we do have the Falcons are the home favorite.
Okay, I'm with you.
I don't think anyone's going to play Patterson. Do you?
No, he's not going to project well. Like he's not going to do very well in optimals. It's going to be all those other guys in that price range because it's really hard to quantify the efficiency that he provides, I suppose. So Steelers D 2,300. It's been kind of our placeholder for the week. Just extremely cheap at home. So I think that's interesting. 5,900. We got a ton of slots here. So what is a mini that you like? Are we going to go another Sun God Saquon? Do we want to try and do something else with the mini here?
I don't think we can fit Saquon here. I just don't think the salary is going to be there. But let's put Sun God in anyways. I think he's just a tremendous play. You can check out the last video on why that is, especially in this particular matchup against the Giants. And then let's do a mini that spins off of a mini that we did the first time. Let's do Nico Collins, but let's do Antonio Gibson on the bring back on this one.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll plug the Locks of the Week video. Jake had some nice analysis on the Antonio Gibson stuff, so I might be in on that.
Yeah, I think he's in it. So this gives us two really wild card tournament running backs, which I like.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So now we can play like some really, I mean, we have a decent amount of salary to work with here, I suppose.
Yeah, I want to put CeeDee Lamb on this team because we need some more good players.
Yeah, we should get some good players on this team. I agree.
And
5,100.
Yeah, and then let's just do a bring back with our Amon-Ra. Let's put Slayton on this team.